From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. The future of coal, certainly something on the minds of many here in Montana and Wyoming, and particularly in places like Colstrip, where two of the coal-fired power units were retired earlier this year, and it's uncertain what could lie ahead for the remaining two. Well, tomorrow, the Trump administration's top energy official will visit Colstrip. U.S. Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette was invited to Montana by Senator Steve Daines. They'll be visiting the plant in Colstrip and talking about its future. I had a chance to sit down with the secretary tonight here in Billings.
Looked at it from a number of different viewpoints at the Department of Energy. It's part of our critical infrastructure. It's part of our baseload power out in the West. Very important facility to us. We're very interested in how they may move forward with things like 45Q and carbon capture and some of the newer technologies that are coming onto the market. So,
what do you see as the future for coal?
Well, I think it has a bright future. I mean, we've been working closely. You know, the president, when we first came in, you mentioned 2016, early part of this administration, he was very clear about what he wanted to do. And his energy strategy can be summed up in just a few words, and that is all of the above. And those words to the president mean exactly what they are, all of the above. We're going to produce all forms of energy here in America for a number of different reasons. One, because we're blessed with a number of resources, just an enormous amount of resources here. Coal being, you know, important to the West, important to Montana. So we're going to use that. We're going to develop that. That provides us with energy security as well as national security.
Brouillette met with leaders from the Crow tribe earlier today. Will be there for his visit in Colstrip tomorrow. We'll have a full report here on MTN News. Well, COVID-19 has changed campaigning this year, and one candidate is back to meeting voters in person on a 2,000-mile trip through Montana. Democratic House candidate Katheryn Williams came to Billings tonight after stops today in Livingston, Red Lodge, and Lewistown. Williams has worked in natural resources planning and policy for 33 years and served in the Montana House for 3 terms. This is the first day of her 6-day solutions tour through the state.
We're calling it the Solutions Tour because I'm running to cut through the hyperpartisanship and bring back results for Montana. I'm an experienced policymaker. I know how to work with people of all political stripes, and I'm committed to doing it, and I have a history of doing it. I'm ready to help Montana get out of these dual crises that we have, both public health and economic. Fixing our healthcare system, fostering opportunity, both economic and personal, and protecting our outdoor heritage. That's public lands and clean air and water and more. So every time I talk to Montanans, you know, healthcare is the big one. And I've worked on those issues in the legislature, passed bills that are saving lives and reducing costs and increasing access, and I'm ready to hit the ground running on those.
Tomorrow, Williams will visit Forsyth, Miles City, Glendive, and Sidney. Her opponent, State Auditor Matt Rosendale, also talks about protecting public lands and lowering health care costs. Montana Senator Steve Daines met with President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Judge Amy Coney Barrett, for the first time today. Daines says she's a brilliant jurist and says the two discussed everything from the Second Amendment and what it means in Montana to protecting coal and energy jobs. He says Barrett has his full support to become the next Supreme Court justice. Well, to help with social distancing and to handle the crowds leading up to elections, tomorrow the Yellowstone County Elections Office will open up business at Metro Park. Metro workers and Elections Administrator Brett Rutherford set up today at the Montana Pavilion. Many events have been canceled, so the elections office could move in early. Registering and picking up absentee ballots can now only be done at the Metro and not at the courthouse. The hallways at the county courthouse can handle just 7 people for distancing and the elections office just 2. And remember, early voting starts tomorrow.
Normally we're not here till election day for the most part, and just our space needs, that's why we're here. It's just the safer option for us. It might be raining tomorrow, so if we have a line with people standing 6 feet apart, we have a lot of space in the building to actually have people indoors rather than outside where they would be at the courthouse. And DMV is kind of like that right now. It's a take a number and wait your turn situation. So there's people out on the sidewalk in the morning every day. So we saw that and we figured we needed to make a change.
Ballots can still be dropped off at the courthouse, just not picked up. Ballots will be mailed October 9th, 25 days before the election. Time has run out for some 45,000 airline workers. Many of them are being furloughed or laid off today after talks to extend government relief programs on Capitol Hill stalled. Chris Van Cleve has more.
Denisha McCluskey became a flight attendant 4 years ago. It's a career she loves and thought she'd have until she retired. But today, McCluskey is out of a job because of the pandemic.
I'm really scared about where my health will lie without having the proper health care to, to continue to live the life that I've been living since I've been flying.
McCluskey reveals her Crohn's disease once nearly killed her and requires regular, costly infusions. When her health insurance runs out, she's not sure what she'll do.
I worked so hard to get where I am, and I'm nervous about my health trickling. Being back and forth in the hospital again with no health care, and I'm sorry.
CBS News estimates around 45,000 airline workers are subject to furlough or layoff after the government's $25 billion payroll support program expired. At least 44,000 other employees took early exit packages, voluntarily leaving their jobs, and more than 74,000 are taking unpaid leave, preventing even more job cuts. Alaska Airlines Captain Lee Erickson and his wife Brenda, a flight attendant, accepted early retirement, hoping to help save the jobs of their 2 kids. Both work for the airline.
I just want to thank all my coworkers for the great career that they've given me, but I mostly want to thank you, our passengers, who provided me with a very long and very satisfying career.
There is a sliver of hope here, though. United and American both say if Congress is able to come to a deal in the next few days, they can reverse these furloughs. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport.
And to put the layoffs into perspective, American Airlines now has 30% fewer employees than in January. All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Yesterday, we looked back at September. Tonight, we're looking forward to October.
Now, do you remember just last October, 2019?
Had some snow.
We had a lot of snow that year. We had 10.5 inches of snow just in the month of October, and we didn't go below zero that month last year, but we did go down to zero on the 29th. This year, this is our 30-day temperature outlook for October, and as you will see, we are expecting warmer than average temperatures across the Great Basin area, all the way through the central part of Montana, and basically a little warmer than that all the way on either side of Montana. It's a little bit cooler over down the southeast around Georgia and places like that, but we'll have the hot stuff up in our neck of the woods. In the meantime, because it's going to be so warm, obviously it's going to be a little bit drier than average. It'll be leaning wetter towards Washington and Seattle and places like that, but we'll see maybe just average temperatures and average precipitation in the western part of the state. But back here in south central and eastern Montana, we're looking at some slightly drier than average precipitation totals for the month of October. We'll see if that happens. Your short range forecast, that's coming up in a few more minutes.
Thank you, Bob. Another big jump in confirmed COVID-19 cases today as Montana smashed yesterday's record. 429 new cases today. Also one new death in Bighorn County, a man in his 80s. Well, Yellowstone County led the pack with nearly 100 new cases today, 93 to be exact. Cascade County followed with 67, Flathead with 66, and Missoula at 32. There are now nearly 4,000 active cases across the state. The death toll across Montana now stands at 184. Bighorn County has seen 24 deaths now with this latest one. Due to rising COVID cases, Sidney has canceled all school activities this weekend, including a home football game and volleyball match against Fergus High School. According to the school superintendent, Sidney High School has had 5 students and 1 staff member test positive for COVID-19. However, Richland County health officials do not believe that the spread is occurring at the school, and therefore closing the school is not required. Well, Governor Steve Bullock was in Billings today with reaction to those rising numbers. He says all Montanans need to take the virus seriously and take necessary precautions.
We know that the actions that we will take today, literally today, will determine a week and 2 weeks down whether we're seeing continued increased numbers or we get our hands around this virus. Guys like John Felton in public health, not just in Yellowstone County but across the state, are working damn hard. And we individuals have to take that action.
Bullock also adds, as it gets colder, more people move indoors, and flu season approaches, Montanans need to make sacrifices now to control the virus in the future. Governor Bullock was in Billings to announce the launch of Big Sky Care Connect. He joined leaders from Riverstone Health, Billings Clinic, Rimrock Foundation, and the Montana Medical Association for a roundtable discussion. Big Sky Care Connect is a statewide health information exchange for Montana, which will allow participating medical providers to share patient information. The goal is to reduce costs, save time, and make it easier for patients to receive care. Governor Bullock says this is the modern and effective way to remove barriers to services. And as those numbers keep rising, Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton is set to address the community next Monday, October 5th at 2 p.m. The news conference will air right here on Q2 and on the KTVQ website. Felton also expected to give an update on testing and recommendations for Halloween. And we've also learned late tonight that President Trump and the First Lady are in quarantine after one of the president's top aides tested positive for COVID. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, saddle up for a trip to a Montana horse sanctuary, a place aimed at giving these gentle giants a second chance at life. And in sports, fresh off snapping their 22-game losing streak, Skyview aiming to start a winning streak tonight against Gallatin. Highlights on the way.